Hello, chart watchers and DecisionPoint faithful. Welcome to this Monday, April 6th, 2020 DecisionPoint show with your hosts, Carl and Erin Swenlin. For those of you joining us for the first time today, we want to welcome you to our show. And of course, for our regulars, welcome back. All right, so let's see what we're going to cover today. I'll go through the agenda and then I'll introduce you, Dad. But we'll start off with what's going on now, of course, what we're seeing. We'll follow that up. I wanted to look at some of those short-term indicators I wrote about in Chart Watchers and see what they are telling us right now. And we will look at, Carl's going to pull up the BPI, the Bullish Percent Index versus our Silver Cross Index, and some of the interesting formations we're starting to see on those charts. Earnings numbers have come in for Q4 2019, so of course we're going to look at our earnings charts and give you some thoughts about that. And then I'll cover oil if we have time, and any other areas. Our bonus charts, your grab bag, Dad, we'll go ahead and we'll follow that up with that. So with that, I'm going to introduce Carl Swenlin, my father. How are you doing today?
Doing very well. I think I've worked out a system for trading this market.
You have?
Yeah, if you have, it's a really big up day like today, you just before the close, you take a short position. But with the big down day, you know, just before the close, you take a long position.
I know, it seems to be every other day we're getting swings.
It's just too volatile still, and you know, I don't think it's, I don't think this is the bottom for it by any means.
Right, and of course that's what I've been getting all kinds of messages right now from various people, peers, and readers that are very interested in wondering if today, you know, after this big market move, if we're actually looking at a market bottom here. And I guess we won't give it away. We'll we'll start talking about it right now by looking at some of our charts. But you know, so far so good as far as the virus out here where we're at in Redlands, California. We did have a nursing home nearby that did get hit pretty hard. But at this point, I know we're all happy and healthy as far as our immediate family. And I do hope the same for everybody else. So
right. We should probably not talk about COVID-19 because if you watch news at all, that's all you hear about. So
yeah,
we
pretty
probably
much,
can't add anything to it.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll start. And Dad, of course, feel free to come in and let me know your thoughts, of course, while we were preparing for the show. So we were kind of discussing some of these charts offline, and we'll talk about them for all of you now. One of the main things is, of course, let's see what's been going on here. And I think this is really a good sign to see that declining tops trend line broken. However, we've got this zone of resistance right now that the price is up against. We did get above that 20-day EMA, so I think that's positive. And it does look like that Fibonacci, what we're looking at, those Fibonacci retracements, that we closed just above that 38.2% line. So that's also a positive. The big concern I would say I have is this big zone of resistance and how the market is going to be able to handle and digest that when we get up there.
Right.
You have that PMO buy signal, so that's a good sign.
The zone of resistance is not to be confused with the zone of silence from Get Smart.
That's right. What do you think of this, though? I just noticed this. We do have declining tops right now on the OBV, yet we're seeing some rising tops here.
Did not get a confirmation of today's breakout.
No, and we didn't see that volume. We want to see it get above those previous tops. If the price tops are here, we want to see that when you get those breakouts, and certainly not seeing that.
On the total volume, SPX total volume, you can see it's pulled back the last, you know, maybe 6 trading days from where it was really excessively high, but it's still really heavy volume still.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you can see it's above that annual that 250-day EMA. We're still well above that. So
Should have been able to push the OBV above the, be interesting to check the OBV for the dollar SPX.
I can do that actually. Let me get my fingers on the right keys here.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, and see we're still seeing that same problem there.
Yes, we are. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. All right, so that's something to consider. I'm going to go ahead and, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and look at my Chart Watchers article, and then when I finish with this, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Okay.
So I wrote this on Friday afternoon, and we got a lot of hits on it, people interested. Most of our readers have already got this information. This was information I had already put out on Thursday for our readers. And on Friday, I kind of took the excerpt from it and updated it slightly. So I wanted to look at these charts since they were out there on Friday when I posted them. So we did already talk about this one. And the problem we see with that OBV with today. I can just pull this up. We just looked at it. But let's go back. No, I don't want to do that. All right, so this is our ultra short-term indicators chart, and I'm going to pull up the most recent so we can get a feel for what's going on. And one of the things I've been watching is what's been happening with, the breadth, advances minus declines for volume as well. And they've really been right on as far as giving us the information we need, looking for rising bottoms on indicators and falling bottoms on price. That was a pretty good call there by those indicators. You can see we had the decline right there and the declining tops, but we were looking at rising tops. So that was a problem when we got that breakdown. And now, I was watching, I mentioned it in the article that we are seeing that contraction on the negative numbers, but now we've popped all the way up here with really climactic readings off of this move. Now I'm still trying to I have to get my analysis in tune as to what to make of this when I write about it tonight. But, just at first blush, getting climactic readings on a breakout like this typically is you'd look for a buying initiation off of this. What would you think about that?
Yes, I like that. We're not getting confirmation by new highs, but we can't. We're too far back from where we were previously making new highs. The market's too far down to be really.
Yeah, look for
Not,
stocks making
right,
new highs.
right.
Yeah,
And
even the best ones aren't doing that yet. So.
right, right.
And then, we always talk about the VIX and we use the inverted VIX because typically top is overbought, oversold when the VIX is very high. And, we are coming up to the top Bollinger Band, and typically that's bad news. But, one of the things we were talking about, Dad, was the fact that the top of this Bollinger Band is sitting at about 40.64. If you were to think back here that we would be looking at a VIX at 40 and talking about it being overbought, I think everybody would be, are you sure your scale's inverted, I guess. So it's still really high. So I don't know that we really can put too much emphasis on this as far as being close and possibly overbought and looking for a downside move like we typically would.
One thing I forgot to mention is the island reversal pattern.
Oh, right.
It's looking right at me on Friday, and I forgot to mention it.
Right. Well, it was kind of looking at me on Thursday. I didn't either. So we're even, I guess, there. But yeah, an island reversal, for those who aren't familiar, you get a gap down and then you get some trading. It makes like a little island. And typically those are reversal patterns. So you look for that gap that you got on the way down to be covered, usually with another gap up. And sure enough, the pattern did exactly that. All right, I think I have one more chart here. that I showed. And these are our Swenlin trading oscillators. Got a lot of interest on the Swenlin trading oscillators after the article because they have been pretty, well, I think they've been really hitting the nail on the head here as far as, what we're getting from them. And you can see that, we've gotten these notices before we get the downtrends, but I'm really interested in the fact that we started to see these really give us the kind of information we need at a bottom, at a top, and right now they're starting to turn up in what typically, under normal circumstances, would be considered oversold territory. So we are in a bear market situation, I think, but the fact that we have sort of a bullish bias going on right now, I mean, I could see these indicators, the fact that they've bottomed, giving us some indication that we could see a breakout here.
And you've got shades of Gene Morgan's charting the market, but you've got a bottom above a bottom and a top above a top.
Exactly.
On the on the price.
Yes, right.
So we basically now have a rising trend.
Yes.
And, it's short term, but could very well be signaling an intermediate term move.
Right, absolutely. And one of the things we were kind of chatting about is the fact that we're not seeing the kind of, you wouldn't want to see declining tops on these indicators after we've gotten them updated. This one didn't update though, and I know.
No, the moving average indicators don't update till maybe around 3.
Right.
But,
So we'll have to see whether this makes a difference if we start seeing that move, if we start getting them a bit higher. But one of the things to consider, as you were just talking about, is the fact that when we have these, these big moves down like this, it takes a long time for price to get back above the 20-day EMA. I think just the general market shows you that. We had it come, the 20 came down pretty far, but we still had a lot to make up to get back up to it, to get price above it. So seeing this low number right now on this particular indicator, I hate to put too much, I don't want to have a high confidence here if I see these declining tops going on right now. I suspect we're going to see it moving to the upside when we do get the final numbers.
we'll take a look at it later in the show. Maybe it'll have updated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to pass it over to you. I looked at the charts I wanted to look at, and I will be writing about most of these tonight in the Decision Point alert. You can go to decisionpoint.com, and of course, you'll find all the information you need there, including some of our free articles and free links.
Okay, let's look at I was looking at the Silver Cross Index, and I saw some new stuff about it. I realized some things about it that hadn't before. And this is a fairly new indicator, and it's meant to be a little smoother version of the Bullish Percent Index, which is Bullish Percent is the percent of stocks in the index that are on point and figure buy signals. Silver Cross Index is when the 20 moving average crosses up through the 50 moving average. And we call that the Silver Cross as a companion to the Golden Cross, which I'll talk about a little bit later here. But anyway, what I noticed, if you look in the thumbnail, is that the BPI bottomed a lot, well ahead of the actual market bottom, and right here. And so it was maybe a week and a half. The Silver Cross has been delayed, and it finally turned up last week. I'm sorry, week before, just towards the end.
Yeah, it was rising on Thursday.
Yeah, and the reason is this. Let me just change the okay, where you can see the moving averages crossovers that we look for to give us signals. When you have such a huge move in either direction, in this case down, it's going to spread those moving averages way out from each other. And again, you talked about just price being above or below the moving averages. When the price gets way below, it's going to take a lot longer to get up there to trigger that signal. So something you need to be aware of. Let me just go back and look at it again. Okay. Notice we have the red lines show where the tops were. That's the price top. And then the green line shows a bottom. And you can see how there's the silver cross. It basically moves sideways where you had an immediate reaction on the BPI. And I don't want to go into what constitutes a point and figure buy signal because I don't use point and figure. And I looked it up, but it's not something I really think I'm qualified to explain. The gold cross index difference, this is percentage of stocks where the 50 EMA has crossed up through the 200 EMA. It's a long-term indicator. You can see that it definitely lags the price in terms of its turning up, but that's just the way it is. And that it's not meant to be a close-in indicator. But right now, we're still, here's the silver cross, it's way down here. It's close to zero. And here's the bullish percent. It's been up to 75 and is currently at 60. So it's...
yeah, I also, if you look in that thumbnail, those first two bottoms on the BPI, really nice positive divergence.
It was.
I wish I'd seen this earlier.
Yeah. It's one of those things I kept looking at. It's like, wait, what's going on here? And it's pretty interesting.
There are so many indicators to try and keep track of, guys. We do our very best.
Right. And here I looked at the NASDAQ composite, same deal. We had very nice bounce on the BPI, but the silver cross is just now bottoming. And to me, that it's not, we're right here. This was just a 20% down move of the market, and the silver cross turned up almost within days of what happened with the BPI. And even the golden cross didn't take that long to bottom because things didn't get that deep. All right, we got final numbers on earnings for fourth quarter 2019. And I got some data sets that people probably might want to know about. These, I've been keeping these for 20 years at least, but I was posting them in real time. So like fourth quarter 2009 wouldn't actually reflect on the chart until the end of the first quarter. But we redid these, and so when I got the new numbers for the, say, fourth quarter, I can enter them at the time where they're, as the as of point with them. And so these are available. We've got the earnings. The earnings, and then the PE. The PE is calculated daily. The yield is calculated daily. based on the current dividend that we show here.
Yeah, for our readers, I will post these charts at the bottom of my DP alert so that you can very easily get to them. But for those who aren't readers, if you could scroll down again, Dan, so they can see the symbols at the very bottom.
Right, if you're going to post them, you probably ought to.
Yeah, so this is just for people who aren't going to get them because they're not subscribers, but you should be. But those are the settings you can use to get that chart. So if you just pause it and you're a StockCharts member, you'll be able to put that together. But I will be sure to include this chart and the next one I know you're going to show in the bottom of today's DP alert.
Right. Okay. These lines have been updated as of the latest numbers. And actually, it's interesting. The projected earnings, et cetera, for fourth quarter of this year they're pretty much even with where we are showing now. Normally they're higher, but of course they're going to go a lot lower after we get through this month. We're going to have a good chunk of the S&P 500 earnings will have been reported, and so we'll be seeing some movement down. And I've suggested that each of these bands will get maybe down to here in terms of where undervalued, fair value, and overvalued would be.
That's way lower than what we've seen.
Yes, indeed. Okay, we're going to look at these, and they're up to date. Yay.
Ah, there it is. We were waiting. There we go.
Okay, well, you had a great big bump in stocks above 20 EMA. Not a bad move for 50, and then a little tick up for the above 200 EMA. So
technically, that actually does look good.
Yeah, I have nothing to complain about there. And I didn't mention, but I do like this. This was the washout, and then this was a retest move. Basically, it didn't actually get down to retest, but it's a retracement that basically serves the purpose. So I'm not ultra bearish long term, but not intermediate term at this point.
Yeah, I think the indicators are starting to definitely. They're looking up.
Improve.
So see, everybody mark the calendar because Carl and Erin are actually looking at bullish resolutions right now and not always bearish.
Okay, this is something that I wanted to look at today. Oil pulled back today, but it's basically doing fairly well. It looks like whether Russia and the Saudis get their act together or not remains to be seen, but President Trump is talking about putting tariffs on foreign oil. So that would essentially, he could put a tariff on it, which would make our oil cheaper than the foreign oil. And so he's giving them a chance to do the right thing. And here we go again. This is a nice flagpole going here, maybe a pennant or flag forming here. Could be coming around.
Yeah, the PMO buy signal, that's certainly encouraging too.
And long term, it looks like $20 or around $20 is a good, fairly solid support level. Certainly fits into this congestion here nicely. So maybe that will be the end of this down move, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I had some oddball stocks. Tupperware. I saw Tupperware on the screen a couple weeks ago, and I pulled it up. Tupperware. Everybody knows what Tupperware is.
I hope so.
We have Tupperware that is still in use, that is 50 years old. That's how good the product was. Don't know what it's like today because I haven't had to buy any. But they're in a tank. I don't know what's going on with them, but this is not looking good.
Well, I think, a lot of their sales are in home. You have to go in to somebody's home and have a party. That's one of the ways they get a lot of their orders.
Right.
It could be part of it. It'd be interesting to see what Avon's doing.
And what is XRT?
Retail.
That's retail. Double bottom.
Nice.
Yeah, double bottom. So, and positive divergence. And housing.
XRLE. RLE, yeah.
No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the housing.
The home builders one?
That's what it was. Yeah. Home builders.
Yes.
They had a very nice day. And here's a retest that looks fairly good. So it is definitely looking bullish. I don't see the basis of that, but
right.
It's definitely looking bullish. Did you have anything else that you want?
Well, we have time for, we got about 2 minutes left. So I guess the big thing that everybody's asking, and maybe we can give our thoughts on is this the market bottom? Like, are we going to have to, are we getting ready to go back down and test it right away? Or what are you thinking? I honestly have seen that breakout above the 20-day, and looking at some of our indicators, I have to say that it really does look like we could see a continuation.
Right, but it's got a long way to go. We're down. I mean, let's see here. I'm the wrong one. Okay, we're down 55% from the top. We've rallied. I'm sorry. It's going to take a 55% rally from the bottom here to get back to the top. I don't see that happening, but it could be a vigorous rally. I've seen these in bear markets where you get the declining tops line, you get a breakout, and that lasts a little while, and that's the end of it. It'll go back. So I wouldn't be too. I said in my article this on Friday, it may be something that we can participate in, but don't fall in love.
Right. I mean, today's breakout was certainly, I have to say, it's pretty impressive. Got above the 20. I wish it had gotten into that zone of resistance, but that everything's lining up pretty well. So I am with you that I don't think long term we're there, but looking pretty good. All right, we gotta end this. I want to thank everybody for being with us today, and we do like to get your feedback. Come check out DecisionPoint.com, and happy trading.
Hey guys, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts.com. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, if you did, give us a like down below, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial minds. We'll see you back here very soon. Happy charting, my friends.